Some men evolve in silence. Others wage war against who they used to be. When a Sigma male shifts into warrior mode, it's not for revenge or validation. It's about becoming everything the world told him he'd never be. It's not loud. It's not theatrical. It's personal, focused, and unstoppable. This version of the Sigma doesn't make announcements. Not because he's hiding, but because he's done explaining. He's outgrown shallow circles, outdated roles, and goals that weren't really his. He no longer asks for permission to live as he was designed to. He simply becomes. Being a Sigma isn't about standing out, it's about seeing through the noise. You questioned the script. You rejected the mask. You chose your own voice in a world that begged you to stay quiet. That's not rebellion. That's clarity most never reach. Going into warrior mode isn't about chaos, it's about calculated intensity. It's knowing your power and using it with discipline. You're not here to chase peace. You're here to create it, through silence, structure, and truth. And if you've felt that shift, the one that clicks the moment you're done accepting fake friends, fake praise, and fake progress, then you already know. The world doesn't need another man yelling for attention. It needs one who's mastered himself. This is what happens when the Sigma chooses purpose over applause. This is where the real transformation begins. Let's go deeper, brothers. Number 1, he becomes the man he needed when he was breaking inside. There was a time when the Sigma male felt invisible, not rejected, not misunderstood, just completely unseen. He was the quiet one with the loudest internal chaos. The one who didn't ask for help, not because he didn't need it, but because he already knew no one was really listening. He went through storms that would have broken most, but he didn't break. He adapted. He hardened. And this is where the danger begins, because the Sigma doesn't just survive his pain. He learns from it. He studies it. He remembers every lonely battle, every silent breakdown, every emotion he had to swallow just to get through the day. But instead of letting that pain define him, he converts it into a blueprint. He becomes the man he wished had shown up for him. Not a savior. Not a superhero. But a weapon, forged in solitude, sharpened by betrayal, and fueled by the memory of emptiness. This is what makes his growth so rare. He doesn't seek motivation. He doesn't crave applause. His fire comes from a place that can't be faked, copied, or broken. He's not trying to be better than anyone else. He's becoming the protector he never had. So if someone belittles him now, doubts him, tries to reduce him to who he used to be, he won't fall. He'll remember the version of himself that stayed quiet, hid the hurt, and still kept going. But that version is gone. In its place stands a Sigma male who no longer waits for peace. He creates it. With boundaries. With power. With unshakable standards. And if you've ever seen a man who once suffered in silence finally rise with purpose, you know exactly how unstoppable that version becomes. He isn't chasing revenge. He's seeking redemption. And he's not asking for anything. He's becoming everything. Number 2, he taps into his most primal state, with focused fire. There's a side of the Sigma male that most people never witness. And truthfully, even if they did, they wouldn't know how to handle it. It's not loud. It's not chaotic. It's not the kind of blind rage that breaks things or yells to be heard. It's far more dangerous, a controlled fire wrapped in calm precision. When a Sigma enters this primal state, it's not a meltdown. It's a shift. You won't hear shouting. You won't see dramatics. But you'll feel the atmosphere change. His energy sharpens. His movements slow down but become surgical. Every action becomes calculated. Every word, if spoken, is chosen like a weapon. Let's say someone repeatedly disrespects him, pushes too far, undermines his value. Most people would eventually snap or fall apart. But the Sigma? He doesn't react emotionally. He narrows his focus. He analyzes, absorbs, and then responds with a quiet force that pierces deeper than any angry outburst ever could. Picture a man who's been doubted for years. He doesn't argue to prove himself. He doesn't beg for validation. He just builds, learns, prepares, and when the moment is right, he moves, without warning. While everyone else was watching the noise, he was perfecting the execution. That's what separates his fire from the stereotypical alpha male. The alpha wants the spotlight. The Sigma doesn't care who's watching, he just becomes unstoppable. You won't see him lash out. But you might watch him walk away from everything and rebuild alone, without hesitation. You won't hear him complain. But you'll see him transform pain into power, and leave people in silent awe. It's not rage. It's force. Not chaos, but command. And when he's in that state, nothing deters him, not fear, not setbacks, not even loss. Because at that point, he isn't searching for peace. He is the fire, controlled, calm, and unstoppable. Number 3, he doesn't chase recognition, he seeks restoration. The Sigma male isn't fighting to be seen. He's not performing for applause, and he's not interested in racking up praise for how strong, smart, or resilient he is. That's just noise to him. When he goes to war, mentally, emotionally, or even physically, it's not about proving a point to anyone. It's about restoring what's been lost within. Peace, clarity, sanity. He wages battle when something in his life feels misaligned. Maybe he's tolerated shallow friendships for too long. Maybe his job has drained the meaning from his days. Or maybe he's been in a relationship that turned into emotional survival rather than connection. Eventually, he reaches a threshold. He's done carrying dead weight. And when that moment comes, he doesn't explode, he clears the table. No theatrics. No grand announcement. Just decisive action. Here's what people often misunderstand. They think his retreat or exit is about ego, revenge, or making a statement. It's not. It's detox. It's a purge of everything that poisons his mind, clouds his judgment, or drags down his energy. Whether it's walking away from a lucrative deal that lacks integrity, or ending a years-long friendship that's become one-sided, the Sigma doesn't hesitate. To the outside world, it might seem harsh. But to him, it's survival. Because he's not protecting a reputation, he's protecting his peace. Recognition means nothing if you're applauded while suffocating inside. Sigma males don't crave being admired, they crave clarity. They value fresh air, silence, and the inner freedom to think, build, and breathe on their own terms. And here's what makes him truly dangerous. When he decides to reset, nothing is sacred. Old dreams? Gone. Old labels? Burned. Even outdated versions of himself? Discarded without hesitation. He will walk away from everything and start again in silence if that's what it takes to feel alive. That's not weakness. That's real, grounded power, quiet, unwavering, and absolute. Number 4, he sees straight into people, and it's unnerving. There's something undeniably piercing about the way a Sigma male looks at you. It's not casual. It's not flirtation. And it's certainly not curiosity. His gaze doesn't stop at your smile or your words, it slices straight through the mask, into the part of you that you try to hide from the world. He doesn't need to say much. In fact, it's when he goes quiet that people get the most unsettled, because deep down, they sense he's noticing more than he lets on. He registers the micro-expressions, the cracks in your tone, the stiffness in your body, the forced laughter you use to hide pain. He sees everything. And the most disarming part? He never announces it. He doesn't expose you, he simply remembers. Stores it. Adjusts. Say you lie to him, even a little white lie to save face or hide insecurity. He catches it. He won't confront you. He won't call you out. But the dynamic quietly shifts. Not from anger, but from awareness. He now knows something you didn't intend to reveal, and that changes how he interacts with you from that point on. This is what sets him apart. While others are distracted by charm, titles, or surface-level talk, the Sigma is tracking truth patterns. His intuition is calibrated like a radar, and when something doesn't add up, he doesn't ignore it. He makes mental notes and lets his instincts guide him. It's not arrogance. It's not control. It's self-preservation. He's lived through enough betrayal and illusion to know one thing for sure: people can lie with their mouths, but never with their energy. And if you've ever sat across from a Sigma when he's fully alert, you'll know, his silence isn't empty. It's charged. His stare doesn't just observe, it exposes. Number 5, he withdraws from the world to strike with precision. When most people feel pressure, they panic. They reach out. They overshare. They overthink. They try to be seen and heard. But not the Sigma male. When the world gets loud, he disappears. Not out of fear. Out of focus. When a Sigma retreats, it's not because he's lost. It's because he's calculating. He knows that chaos is not the place where wise decisions are made. So, he vanishes, not to run, but to prepare. While others scream, post, and vent, the Sigma male steps into silence. He cuts out distractions. He turns down the noise. Not to isolate, but to recalibrate. Because precision needs space. And silence sharpens strategy. You won't see him panic. You won't hear him rant. He simply observes. He replays every conversation. He examines every betrayal. He turns every misstep into actionable data. And when he returns, he's already changed. The job that drained him? He's quietly building an escape plan. The relationship that became toxic? It's already over in his mind. The version of himself that tolerated disrespect? Already buried. What follows isn't a comeback, it's a reset. And it's always sharp, clean, and final. This is what most people miss about Sigma males. They don't give warnings. They give results. They don't explain. They decide. And by the time the silence hits, it's already too late to change the outcome. That's why people say, he changed overnight. But no. He changed in silence. You just weren't paying attention. He doesn't announce the battle. He moves in shadows. And when he strikes, he hits with purpose. And here's the truth. When a Sigma male enters warrior mode, he never misses. Number 6, he becomes emotionally precise, not reckless. When most people hit their breaking point, emotions erupt. They yell, react impulsively, or spiral out of control. But the Sigma male in warrior mode is built differently. He feels everything, but he doesn't broadcast it. Why? Because emotion doesn't get to drive the vehicle. He straps it in the back seat and grips the wheel himself. In this state, the Sigma becomes emotionally surgical. He doesn't shut down or pretend things don't affect him. Instead, he dissects every emotion with brutal clarity. Pain? He analyzes it. Betrayal? He traces its origin. Disappointment? He searches for the lesson hidden inside it. Imagine someone breaks his trust. Where most would lash out, send long texts, demand explanations, the Sigma goes silent. Not because he's numb. Because he's processing. Internally, he's taking apart the situation piece by piece. Who did I let close? Why didn't I see it coming? What boundary needs to be reinforced? This level of emotional discipline is rare. And dangerous. Because when a Sigma doesn't let his emotions control him, they become tools. Tools for reflection. Tools for strategy. Tools for self-protection. And that's the true threat of a Sigma in this state. He doesn't fight with chaos, he responds with clarity. He won't cause a scene. He'll make one clean, calculated move where others would make a mess. He'll walk away not from weakness, but because the emotional math no longer adds up. This isn't coldness. It's mastery. A Sigma male feels deeply, but he doesn't fall apart. He doesn't weaponize emotion, he wields it. While others break under pressure, he remains still. And in that silence, he sharpens the most powerful weapon of all, control. He's not heartless. He's just done being careless with what hurts him. Number 7, he stops playing the role society cast for him. From the moment most boys are born, they're handed a script. Be polite. Be strong. Don't cry. Work hard. Settle down. Stay safe. Fit in. And if you drift off that script, society labels you rebellious, broken, dangerous. The Sigma male heard those rules loud and clear. But deep down, he always knew that script was never written for him. When the Sigma enters warrior mode, he finally stops pretending. He stops performing. He stops trying to squeeze into the character everyone else wanted him to play. The quiet, obedient boy? Gone. The dependable man who never said no? Gone. The one who downplayed his power so others wouldn't feel small? Erased. He no longer cares if people are disappointed, confused, or intimidated by his shift. He's not here for applause. He's not here to explain. He's here to live truthfully. Maybe he was raised in a family that expected a safe life. Go to school. Get the stable job. Marry young. Don't make waves. And maybe for a while, he tried to walk that path. But one day, something snapped. Not in a destructive way. In a liberating way. Like a truth waking up inside him and saying, this isn't who I am. So, he burns the script. He rewrites the role. Now, he defines masculinity for himself. He chooses his own mission, his own values, his own version of purpose. And if that makes others uncomfortable, so be it. He might quit the job, end the relationship, go ghost on a lifestyle that once defined him. He's not rebelling. He's returning to the version of himself that was buried just to survive. This is when people say, he changed. No. He remembered who he was before the world told him who to be. And once that version returns, raw, real, and undiluted, there's no turning it off. He doesn't need to fit in. He just needs to be real. Number 8, he destroys old versions of himself without regret. Most people cling to who they used to be. They hold on to old identities, worn-out routines, and even their pain, just to feel some sense of continuity. But not the Sigma male. He doesn't romanticize the past. He's not here to preserve outdated versions of himself. He's here to evolve, even if it means burning his past to the ground. When a Sigma transforms, it isn't gentle. It's not a subtle shift or a slow reinvention. It's more like a controlled demolition. Outdated beliefs? Gone. Toxic bonds? Cut. False identities? Obliterated. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't keep old habits around, just in case. If something no longer serves his growth, it goes, immediately. He doesn't fear letting go. Even if it means being misunderstood. Even if it means rebuilding from zero. Comfort means nothing if it cages him. And here's the part most people can't comprehend, he's done this so many times, it no longer scares him. To him, destruction isn't chaos, it's clarity. It's like a warrior removing armor that's too rusted to protect him. Or a snake shedding skin that's become too tight. Let's say he spent years being the quiet, agreeable guy. The one who avoided conflict, kept the peace, dimmed his power. One day, he looks at that version and sees the truth, drained, suppressed, and no longer useful. He doesn't mourn it. He buries it. No goodbye. No explanation. Just growth. That kind of radical self-renewal terrifies people. Most can't even let go of a bad haircut, let alone an entire identity. But the Sigma understands, staying loyal to a dead version of yourself is the quickest way to bury your future. He doesn't just change. He evolves, forcefully, repeatedly. Not for ego. For survival. So if you ever meet a Sigma who moves in silence, whose presence feels unshakable, know this: you're not meeting a man who's still figuring himself out. You're meeting someone who's already laid past versions to rest, and rebuilt himself from the ashes. Number 9, he uses rejection as proof he was never meant to be tamed. Most people take rejection personally. They question their worth. Wonder if they're not good enough. But not the Sigma male, not when he's in warrior mode. For him, rejection doesn't sting, it clarifies. Every no, every closed door, every table he's not invited to? That's not loss. That's confirmation. It's life whispering, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to build your own path. Let's say he pitches an idea and gets dismissed. The average person would spiral. The Sigma? He grows sharper. He doesn't chase validation. He rewrites the plan. What most see as failure, he sees as redirection. He doesn't belong in systems built to suppress individuality. He's not designed to beg for inclusion in rooms that can't handle his truth. So when the world rejects him, he doesn't shrink, he sharpens. That's what makes him dangerous. Every door slammed in his face becomes fuel. Every dismissal becomes data. And here's the wild part, he never kicks down the door. He builds a new one. One that's bigger, better, and all his. He was forged in rejection. His solitude, setbacks, and silence? They weren't punishment. They were preparation. He was never meant to be tamed. And rejection was never the end. It was the fire that lit the beginning. Number 10, he no longer argues. He executes. There comes a moment when the Sigma male simply gets tired of explaining himself, not out of pride, but because he realizes how much energy he's wasted trying to prove something to people who were never truly listening. At a certain level, he stops talking and starts moving. He no longer debates with those who've already made up their minds. He doesn't justify his goals to people who never saw his vision in the first place. That's over. Arguments are for those who want to be right. Execution is for those who want results. Someone doubts his dream? Tells him it's impossible? The old him might have tried to justify, explain, or convince. Not anymore. He listens quietly, nods, then disappears into action. Months later, results speak. A new business. A transformed body. A lifestyle shift that no one saw coming. No hype. No flex. Just facts. That's the Sigma way. While others argue for approval, he improves in silence. While they try to win conversations, he wins in real life. And here's the truth. When a man stops defending and starts executing with unwavering discipline, his presence changes. His silence becomes thunder. People feel his shift, even if they don't understand it. So if you ever doubt a Sigma because he's not talking, understand this. That silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. By the time you notice what he's really been building, it's already done. Number 11, he no longer apologizes for taking up space. There was a time when the Sigma male shrank himself, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. He kept his voice low. His opinion softer. His needs tucked away to avoid discomfort. He didn't want to offend. He didn't want to be too much. So he disappeared in plain sight. But when warrior mode kicks in, that version of him dies. No more shrinking. No more silence for the sake of comfort. He now takes up space, not to dominate, but to exist fully and honestly. He speaks clearly. Sets boundaries. Moves with grounded confidence. Let's say he walks into a room where people used to talk over him. He doesn't raise his voice. He raises his energy. And the whole dynamic shifts. He doesn't need a seat at the table. He builds his own. Or walks away from the one that refuses to honor his presence. Some will call him arrogant. Some will say he changed. But the truth is, he returned to himself. The version that was never broken. Just buried. And now that he's here, he's not asking for permission. He's just being real. Unapologetically. And that kind of presence? That kind of fire? It doesn't burn others. It ignites truth. Number 12, he becomes addicted to self-discipline. To most people, discipline sounds like restriction, like sacrifice. To a Sigma in warrior mode, it's the opposite. Discipline is his power source. He's not relying on motivation, that comes and goes. What he builds is structure. A system. A personal code. Let's say he wakes at 5 a.m., trains hard, eats clean, works silently while others sleep or complain. That's not a flex. That's routine. That's the blueprint for a calm, focused life. He doesn't seek comfort. He seeks clarity. He finds peace in the pain, not the kind that breaks you, but the kind that reshapes you. Suffering with purpose builds something stronger. And this is the shift. He embraces the boring, the repetitive, the lonely grind, because every clean habit is one step closer to the man he knows he's becoming. The average person wants quick rewards. The Sigma wants progress. And progress doesn't come with shortcuts, it comes with consistency. That's what makes him dangerous. He's not just disciplined. He's addicted to it. And that addiction is what makes him unstoppable. Final thoughts. A man doesn't become dangerous when he's loud. He becomes dangerous when he's clear. When the Sigma male enters warrior mode, he's no longer chasing peace. He creates it. Inside himself. He moves with silence, precision, and purpose. Not to impress. Not to prove. But because his soul refuses to stay still any longer. You're not a Sigma by accident. You didn't survive the fire just to be average. You're here because you saw through the noise, stood your ground, and refused to become someone you're not. That matters. You chose truth over trends. Discipline over distraction. Solitude over shallow approval. You were never meant to fit in. You were built to lead yourself first. And now that you have, don't stop. Don't slow down. Don't look back. You are not becoming. You already are. Stay sharp, stay solid. And keep building in silence.